2025 PSE Mach 3 DS. This boat's got good specs. Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here with PodiumArcher.com, looking at the PSE Mach 33 DS. This bow's got good specs. This is going to be pretty popular amongst your Western hunter, I would be willing to bet, largely because it's back down to 3.6 pounds. When a guy's buying carbon, it better be light, because that's the whole point in general. Yes, I know warm to the touch is nice, etc. Can run it over with a four-wheeler and you won't bend it, etc. Most of us aren't going to run our bow over with a four-wheeler, but this is actually light. And they allow for a two-piece quiver this time, where the predecessor did not. Good plus there. Front mount pick attachment, rear mount integration, and their own unique little quiver system that locks in here and attaches to the roller guard. So hey, that's pretty cool. No specific V-bar system shown that I can see. However, it does offer the shim adjustable system that is removable by a tool, so it doesn't require you to actually remove an axle or anything like that. It's very easy. Not quite as easy as like Bowtech's drive system, but it's still pretty simple, which originally this idea came from Prime, if I remember right. So EC2 cam available on this bow. Here are the specs. It is 335 feet a second, 6 5/8 brace height, 33 axle to axle, 80 to 90% let off, 3.6 pounds, and the draw length adjustability is 24.5 to 31. As of the filming of this video, they're supposed to be releasing an additional one called a Mach 35 that has a longer limb and a much broader draw length spectrum for you really big dudes that need a really long draw length. And to my knowledge, you can still get the other two cam options on here. It might have to go through the pro shop to do it, but you can get the longer cam or the shorter cam for performance. But all in all, this is going to be probably the most sought after bow in their line, other than the price. So, let's measure some stuff. I need to pause for a second and find the price. Okay. First things first, grab my tapies here and let's measure an axle to axle. So we're going to go to the far side of the axle. We're looking for 33, and that is 33 and a quarter, looks like. Doing that right? Hold still, you little bugger. Yep, 33 and a quarter. Check our riser length, and these are just comparables for you guys to compare bow to bow is all. Looks like about pivot point to pivot point, 28 3/4. Brace height 6 5/8. This only goes to 6 1/2, so we'll take a look and see if we can eyeball that. Well, 6 1/2, and it almost touches the string. Shallowest point, a little bit of daylight. I mean, it's 6 5/8 to the other side of the string, so yeah. Got to clarify which way that's technically supposed to be. I don't think anybody actually has ever said. Let's see how much reflex this bow has. Move that handle a little bit. Try to position that right there. Bring it down a little bit. A handy dandy little tool that guy sent me. All right, so from the wood forward is, this bow looks like, bring it this way a little bit, up there, still going. Looks like about 2 1/8 of reflex. Okay, let's check a weight, check an actual draw length, and what our loadout point is. I'm going to go ahead and check the physical weight before we draw it back here. Make sure it's not touching anything. 4.2, 4.1, so that's quite a bit off. So we're going to check the weight as well without this dampener on there, because I'm sure they don't weigh it with it, but that was weighing a bit heavy. So we were 4.2 with the dampener, just so you know at home, and figure maybe 2/10 is the rest at most. It's either 1/10 to 2/10, somewhere in there. We're still measuring at 4.0, 4.1, 4.1, steady 4.1, and Yeah. So that bow is 3.9 at best. So I'm not sure what all they're taking off there. I don't know if they're taking the roller guard off, the pick mount, the rubbers, that whole thing, but that's definitely, I'll give you 3.9. So that's quite a bit off. Still really light, don't get me wrong, but it ain't 3.6. So that's 30 right there. That looks damn close to the pivot point. Nah, hang on. Get down here and look at it right one square. So 30, you're between 30.25 and 30.5 right there. I'll call it 30.25. So you're a little long on the draw, but that's not horrible. I've seen worse. Sorry, 30.25. 30.25. Boop. You go. 69.8. Let's go. So now's the part where we test the speed and the noise at 350 grains in these bows. Now, during the decibel measurement, I can't talk because my voice is about as loud as the bow goes off, so we won't be able to determine between if the high peak was me or the bow. So for these next 3 arrows that we're going to shoot, I'm not going to say anything or very little, just so you know. So sorry if it's not as entertaining as it should be. Okay, 350 grain arrows, 70 pounds, 30 inches. Standard factory setting on the module. It's in the middle of the let-off adjustment, so it should be like 85. Here we go. .330, 331. 333. One more here. .330, 331. So an average of 78.5 on the decibel meter and 331 on the speed. Now we'll shoot some 450s and 650s, and then we'll do a 28-inch 450 for you. All right, now I can talk like normal, which is nice. All right, we got 450 grain arrows and then 650 grain arrows. We'll give you 3 of these, and honestly, this bow feels really good. I always like the shape of that grip. It's very easy to tell how your hand sits on it, and the bow is relatively dead on the shot, I will say that. It's the same cam as before, so it feels basically the same to draw. It loads up pretty firmly, carries a lot of energy, and that's part of why it's as fast as it is. So here we go. 291 average. .295, 293, so that'll be, go back to 293 total average. Well, that was a weird one there, but 296 there. So we'll give you a 294 average. I don't know how that bottom one said 314. I might need to delete some. So 294 total on the 450s. And then we'll shoot some 650s. All right, and the quote-unquote adult arrows. 650 grains. .245 on both. .246, 246. 243, 245. All right, 245 average. I'm going to go set this at 28 inches and we'll reshoot the 450s for you. 2. Fun. I'll make it all work. We still going? Oh, we're still going. Look at that. Lovely. Ready? Going? All right. So this is now 28 inches with a 450 grain arrow. This will allow us to do the math that will tell us what this bow would shoot at any draw length, probably. 274 and 271, so we'll take an average 272 because that's technically below 271. So that was a 272 shot. It's amazing how much easier these things pull over at a shorter draw length. 272. 272, 271. We'll still carry that 272 average. $271, 271.5, 272 it is. All right, let's go add this sucker up. Okay, forgot to do this earlier, so we're doing it now. Loadout point is, looks like 33.5 inch loadout point. 33.5. Okay, so the math on your velocity, give me a second, throat's a little scratchy. All right, 294 to 272 feet a second is 22 feet a second for 2 inches. Equal that down to 1 inch, it's 11 foot per inch. So if you take that number and start changing these numbers off of draw length change, if you're going longer, add 11 per inch. If you're going shorter, subtract 11 per inch, and that should give you roughly the velocity if you have a 27 inch draw length or a 28 inch draw length of what the bow should shoot at your length. That's why we shoot 2 inches, so you have that option. All right, now we are 331, so 330 is 11, so you get 11 for speed. Let me pull this out of the draw board real quick here, and then we'll cover some of the features. All right, features that are specific to the bow. Well, it's made out of carbon, but that's not necessarily specific to this specific bow. They do have their own unique quiver system, but that's a little more towards the integration. So not a ton of features that aren't tuning related or integration. So you're probably getting a 2 there. Tunability. This is a much easier system to operate, but it's still kind of crude on what adjustments you have. You only have 3. It'd be nice to see a little bit more adjustability. It'd be even nicer to see something that's driven or simply adjustable. Nothing that addresses timing or anything like that. So tunability, because it's not like really crude, I'll give you an 8 for tunability because this is pretty easy to use, but I'd like to see more adjustment or driven adjustment would be really cool. Integration, you have front mount and rear mount pick, but there is no V-bar option on here of any sort that's specific to the bow. There's not integrated stabilizer system. However, they do have an integrated quiver that does bolt on here, which is unique. So I'll give you a 7 for integration. Honesty. Well, let's see how honest you are. You said it's 33 axle to axle. It's 33 1/4. You said your brace height was 6 5/8, and I'll give you that one. You said your weight was 3.6. I got 3.9 without the dampener on it, and giving 2/10 for the arrow rest, which I've measured that on like 7 different bows already. I'm using the same rest, just so you know. I'm taking 1 arrow rest, well, actually 2, depending on whether they mount on the pick or not, and putting it on every bow. They're all followaways, there's no whisker biscuit argument, and it's the same rest over and over, so it shouldn't change noise. You should have the exact same noise on every bow no matter what you do. So, there we go. That's 3/10, that's almost 10% heavier. Your draw length measured out 30 1/4. Your speed is actually relatively close because you're saying 335 and you hit 331, which is awesome. So I got to give you some kudos there, but almost every other thing I measured wasn't where it should be based off of what you said. So honesty, I'm going to give you a 7. When you get more of them wrong than right, even though your speed's great, I still gotta mark you down for those measurements all being off. I mean, I don't know what the deal is there. PSE bows have always felt, or in the last 3 or 4 years, have always actually felt really good to me. I get a lot of hate saying, I get it, you don't like PSE or something down in the comments, which I don't quite understand because the bows actually perform really well. My only, grief with the company is their ability to ship product consistently. I like their handle. I like the way the bow feels, especially on these. The cycle I like personally. It's not really aggressively hard, and that speed that you're getting out of 6 5/8 of brace is actually pretty darn good. I wish there was less reflex in it, but feel, I'm going to give you an 8. I think the bow feels really good. Design and forgiveness. So you got a riser length of 28 1/4 on a 33-inch bow, and you got 2 1/8 inch reflex. Design-wise, there's a lot of cool things going on in here. It is the only U.S.-made carbon fiber riser, to my knowledge. If I'm wrong, someone comment down below and tell me. But to my knowledge, these are the only U.S.-built carbon bows. I've got to give you that on design because that's not an easy thing to do, is to be able to produce that on forgiveness. There's a lot of reflex in a bow that has 6 5/8 inch brace height. I'm sure I'll get keyboard warriors down below that are mad at me for marking down for that, but it's been my experience over my lifetime that the less reflex a bow has, the more forgiving it typically is. And this has a lot for how much brace height it has. So I'm giving you a 7 on design and forgiveness. And honestly, I kind of feel like that's generous. I'm sure some of you are going to say it's not. Value, $18.99. This is tricky because to stand here and tell you I think that bows can justifiably cost $2,000 is a hard thing for me to swallow. However, for a 33-inch bow that's carbon, it's actually carbon, it's the lightest bow. And most people you would think would be buying carbon because it's lighter. And there are other carbon bows out there that aren't any lighter. And hopefully that gets worked on as something that's addressed by the other manufacturers. But I'm actually, even though it's a $1,900 bow, I'm going to give you a 3 on value because personally I think all these bows that are $1,800, $1,900, $2,000, I think they're all overpriced, personally. So I'm going to have a hard time giving a value mark. But if you're going to buy a carbon bow, you're probably going to want the lightest bow. And there are carbon bows that are more expensive than this. So American made, lightest functional carbon bow, and it's not the most expensive one. Now granted, I haven't seen the price on the other ones yet, so unless they change them drastically, this is still going to come in at a reasonable price for a carbon, but be lighter. So I'm going to have to give you some credit for that. Sound, we got 78 decibels. I'm going to give it a 3. I reserve the right to come back on the sound category at the end of the year when we've actually checked every single bow and gotten a reading on every single bow so we know where that lands. But I think that's kind of a mid point. I have to go check. So appeal and quality. The finish on this bow is good. This color combination I don't like at all. I mean, some people probably think it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. I don't know. But the finish on the bows is good. Quality is good. They do stand behind their product relatively well, and it's still all American made. So I'm going to give you a 4 because if I gave you a 5, there's nowhere to go, right? So let's see what we came up with. 11, 12, 13, 21, 28, 35, 43, 50, 56, 60. 60. That is your total score for your PSE Mach 33. I'm going to say this again. Nobody's going to exceed 75 or 80. The point of this is that there's scale and room to grow, and 100% is never obtainable because then there could be nowhere to go from there. So I think that's a fair score. Tell me what you think down below and comment on how I'm ranking these things. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Etc., etc., etc. How many people buy my influence, which is nobody, by the way. I don't get any money from anybody. Not to say I wouldn't take a sponsor at some point, but it would have to be completely segregated from my testing. So it couldn't be a bow company, couldn't be an arrow company, any of that, couldn't take any of that. So, but in any event, this is a pro shop bow. You have to go to your pro shop to try this product out. I would encourage you to go to your pro shop to try any product out and buy it from your pro shop. You need them, they need you. Now, I'm not trying to bash on chain stores or anything like that, but I'm telling you the pro shop, not the chain store. Go to the pro shop, a lot of times you're dealing directly with the owner or somebody directly in line with the owner. You tend to get a better help in that scenario. But if your pro shop is terrible and you're not going to a pro shop no matter what you do and you're gonna buy bows online, which You can't buy this online. You still have to go down there and take care of it there. Head on over to podiumarcher.com for all those archery needs. $99 and up is free shipping. And use coupon code MFJJ to save you a little bit of money, if I can. And hopefully that's helpful to you. But thanks for watching. Comment down below what you think. Another one coming.